Welcome back to Sane Reactions. I'm your host Kev, and today is going to be a bit of a different one. Like I had promised you guys, I wanted to try to bring some informational videos, ones that you could actually use to try to help you make better decisions. And you know, it's one of those things that come every time of year. It's not just Christmas, it's tax season, and people are going to be coming into a little bit of money, and they're probably going to be wanting to purchase a car, but sometimes they don't really understand the market that they're getting into, and the things that are going on currently in the auto industry are a little bit scary. But with a little bit of information, everybody can make a good decision. But if you guys actually enjoy the content, you enjoy the information, you enjoy the way I'm bringing it to you, please consider hitting that like button, share it around, share it with somebody that might be able to use this information to make a better informed decision. And if you guys really enjoy my content, please consider hitting that subscribe button and help me on my way to 9K. I want to grow the channel, but I can't do that without you. And like I said, this is going to be more of an informational video, and I'm hoping that you guys can find some use out of it, and it'll be something that you can actually share with those that you might want to help as well. So before we waste too much more time, let's get into it. All right. Well, here we go. Now, just to give you guys a brief overview, I am a mechanic. I have done mechanic work now for 20 years, and that's actually what I went to college for. It's what it's one of those things in my life I really enjoy doing, and I've done all kinds of things. I mean, I've built race cars, I've built engines, I've changed transmissions, air conditioning systems. I mean, you name it, from bumper to bumper, there's not a thing that I haven't done. And I've worked on all kinds of makes and models, you name it, I've probably worked on it. I mean, I haven't worked on like high-end Lamborghinis and European cars, but there's a reason for that, and we'll get into it briefly. But I have been doing this now for 20 years, like I said, and I have the experience and the knowledge to be able to give you guys a perspective that you may not be able to get from a lot of the content that you may be indulging in here on YouTube. But I want you guys to make decisions that are going to be based with, you know, experienced input. So once we actually get going here, the first thing that I'm going to break it into a few sections. The first thing we're going to talk about is the car market itself and where these car prices have gone. And then I kind of want to go briefly into the fact that, you know, there's design choices and there's things to these vehicles that you guys should be aware of depending on what kind of car you're getting into. And, you know, after that, I want to go into a brief breakdown of tools that you can use to help you figure out if the car that you're wanting, you know, in your heart and soul, is actually the car that you can afford, you know. And this is going to be you know, a couple tools and a couple, you know, just a thinking behind of how you approach it, so that you don't end up in a situation where you're at a dealership or you're trying to get financing and you just, you know, you're embarrassed because you're seeing things in front of you that you weren't really prepared for. Knowledge is power, and I'm hoping that, you know, you guys can take this information and do your best with it. And again, I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. This is just information to help you make a better decision for you. And just to kind of wrap everything up, you know, we're gonna show you a few clips of, you know, people talking generally about, you know, what it is that they deal with on a regular basis, and the fact that sometimes things aren't as simple as you may think, and we'll go from there. But first up here, I have a clip, and this is from a few months ago, and it's from a channel called Car Questions Answered, and it's from a gentleman named Brandon, and he's going to kind of just give you an idea of how insane these car prices have gone. Now, keep in mind, this is just from a few months ago, but let's see what he has to say here and see if you're as surprised as I was when I started doing the research, and I'm like, asking myself, like, who is paying these prices for vehicles, not homes? We're talking about vehicles today.
This Bronco is $96,000. Ford and other auto manufacturers don't want you to be able to afford a new vehicle. This truck's $95,000. This truck's $90,000. These auto manufacturers are choosing to no longer make affordable vehicles for the masses. So back before 2019, we had dozens of new cars that were being offered for under $20,000. And right now, Right now there's only one. It's a Mitsubishi Mirage, and guess what? They're going to discontinue that one as well. And we're going just to see this continue from these auto manufacturers where they're leaning into these high margin, high grossing products and getting away from things that people can actually afford. Consumers on average are paying $11,000 more for a new vehicle right now than they were 5 years ago. And look at this right here. This is a Ford Edge. Doesn't this just scream? To me, it screams a $26,000 vehicle, but no. Here at Ford for this Edge, check it out. It is $40,000. I cannot get my head around paying $40,000 for something that looks like this. I mean, doesn't this look like it just has crank windows? Right now, compact cars and compact SUVs are actually rising in their sales numbers, and guess what's falling down? These big trucks, they're down in sales. Remember when you couldn't find a Ford Bronco? Check out behind me, a full row of them right here at this dealership. So here's some interesting numbers right here. So in 2024, subcompact crossovers grew by 20% in sales. Compact cars and SUVs both grew 18% and 12%, but guess what's down? Well, truck sales are down about 4%. And think about the inventory levels. So inventory across the US is severely cut for small cars, for small SUVs, because all these auto manufacturers, they're leaning into these big products. And guess what? That means trucks. Truck inventory is way, way up. So even when you have truck inventory that has greatly increased and you have car inventory that's going down because Ford, GM, Stellantis, they just don't make them anymore, even with all of that, truck sales are going down and car sales and subcompact crossovers, SUVs, are going way up. Very interesting. This is saying that the consumer, what do they want? They want small, more affordable vehicles, and the auto manufacturer is saying, nah, that's probably not what you want. Let's get you in one of these $90,000 trucks. That's exactly what you need. So we're going to make you more of those because that's what you want and that's what we want to sell you. But obviously these numbers are showing that is absolutely not what people want. What they want is they want more affordable, smaller transportation. So
and yeah, we're just, like I said, I just wanted a brief clip. So, you know, this guy actually goes out to a lot of these dealerships and he's looking at the actual sticker on the car. You know, a lot of times you'll go online and you'll look for car prices and you'll be like, man, this car's only $35,000 or this car's only $40,000. And then you go to the dealership and you look at the car and you look at the actual sales sticker and you'll see all the add-ons. You'll see all the increase in price, you know, over market value just for the, you know, these are things that the dealerships usually don't disclose on their websites. They're only going to put it on the actual sales placard, that one form you see with the VIN number on it. And that's another thing too, when you guys are checking these cars out, make sure you're checking VIN numbers and make sure that the VIN number of the car that you're looking at is the same VIN number that you're looking at on that sales sticker, because that's something that can, you know, bite you in the butt if you think you're looking at one car, but you know, the thing that you thought you were looking at is a whole different car. But with that being said, it was just to kind of give you guys a perspective and get you to understand that right now in the current car market, I mean, if you're talking about sedans, you know, regular 4-door family cars, they're starting at 45, 50 grand. You know, if you want a decent car, you know, you might be able to find one here and there for, you know, 35 to 40 grand. But generally speaking, these cars, you know, we're talking about Camrys, you know, we're talking about, you know, a regular everyday, you know, Honda Accord. These cars have gone dramatically higher in price, and that's for a sedan. If you're getting into small SUVs, you're looking at anywhere from 40 to 65 grand. And then as you get into the trucks, you're talking about 65 to, the sky's the limit. I mean, I've seen F-150s for as high as $120,000, you know, but keep in mind, some of these are, you know, more luxurious, more option oriented, you know, specialty vehicles. But the fact remains is that the car market, the prices have gone up. They have not gone down. Now, what that means for you as a consumer is that you've got to ask yourself a question. When you go to buy these cars, you're going to have to finance these cars. Now, when it comes to financing, no two people are alike. Financing is one of those things. I mean, depending on the area that you're in, depending on the state that you're in, depending on, you know, your personal credit score, is going to determine what you're going to be able to do as far as financing is concerned. And it's not the same. You can get approved for a loan, but that loan may be for a new car, not necessarily a used car. So, you know, you're going to have different pricing and different financing available to you depending on if you're buying a new car or a used car. And when it comes to a used car, usually they're going to use the term loan to value. You know, the bank is only going to want to lend you a certain amount of money based on what they think that car you're purchasing is worth. And that's what they mean when they say loan to value. So, you know, one of the things you can do to kind of help yourself and, you know, avoid the embarrassment is figure out, you know, I'm not endorsed by any of these companies. I'm not endorsed by any of the tools or the websites that I'm telling you guys to use. This is purely for information. And again, with tax season being right around the corner, I want you, all you sane folk, to be informed. One thing you can do is use Credit Karma. You know, they offer a free service where they can actually, you sign up for their service and you can see exactly what is on your credit report and what it is, you know, as far as your credit score and what it is as far as your ability to purchase and borrow. You know, the higher your credit score, the better the financing you're going to get. You know, the lower your credit score, it's going to get a little bit more rough. And I'll be frank with you, if you got anything below a 5, let's say a 550, good luck even getting financing. So, you know, the lower your credit score, the higher your interest rate's going to be. The higher your credit score, the lower your interest rate's going to be. So just keep that in mind as I show you these next couple things here. Now, one thing you can do, if you go on your computers and you go to Google, and you're going to be able to just type in the simple term, what are today's current auto loan rates? Keep in mind that it's going to vary depending on the banks that you have available around you and the area and the state that you live in, because it's not going to be the same everywhere. This is just to get a general idea of what it is you're trying to deal with. But one of the things you can do, again, go to Google and type in what are the current auto loan rates for interest today. And what you're going to find is that you're going to see that as of January 2025, auto loan rates vary depending on the credit score. You can see it right there. It says it on the screen. And it's going to tell you that, you know, you're going to have super prime, prime, non-prime, subprime. All that really means is what is your credit score. And if you look on the screen right here, you're going to see that, you know, you have the subprime, which is the on the lower end. You have people that have poor credit scores. They're going to be paying on average between 10 to 13% on the interest rate and as high as 18.95%. And again, if you look at the writing right there on the screen, you're going to see it says, you know, for new cars, and then you have a separate rate for used cars. New cars are going to actually have better rates, but you're taking on a way higher risk with the amount that you're financing. And used cars are going to have a much, you know, crappier rate, to be frank about it, but it's going to be because there's more risk as far as the vehicle is concerned. You know, they don't know how long it's going to last, but they want to make sure that if they're going to put their dollar on the line, you're going to pay interest. And again, subprime is going to be 501 to 600, non-prime is going to be 601 to 660, prime is going to be 661 to 780, and super prime is going to be 781 to 850. Those are for the people with the best of the best credit. I mean, 850 is the max. For those of you that don't know, that's usually the scale that's the creditors are going to be looking at, is going to be your credit score. Now, with that being said, this is just an overview of what the market could be like in your area. One thing that you can do is, after you, again, sign up for your credit report, figure out exactly what your credit score is, and then you figure out, you know, go ahead and look in your area and figure out what the auto loan rates are going to be for your area. You can go back to Google. Again, I'm not endorsed or or being helped by in any kind of way by any of these companies. These are just the tools that I would use if I were telling my brother or my sister to go buy a car. I'd be like, do these steps first. The one thing you can do is actually go to Google and type in an auto loan calculator. You're going to find a website called calculator.net, and if you go there, what they have here is a tool, and what this tool does is actually very, very useful. You know, you can change it to your particular state, and they'll base the tax rate, which is the sales tax rate, based off of your state, but you can plug in different numbers here. So we're gonna go on the bottom end. I'm not gonna assume that everybody's out there trying to get the $100,000 truck. I'm gonna go ahead and put in $50,000. And this will all make sense in a second, and the reason you want to use this tool. Generally speaking, if you're buying a new car, you're probably going to do it for 72 months because that's going to help bring the payment down. But you can put in any amount of months. You can go 36 months, you can go 48 months, you can do whatever it is that works for you, but just changing the parameters here. But we're going to do it based on 72 months. Okay, now the interest rate, we're going to go middle of the road here. Okay, we're going to do it at 10%. Again, the reason I showed you the other thing where, you know, it actually, you're asking to see what the current auto loan rates are in your area, is so that you can get this number here. You want to figure out, given your credit score, given your situation, what it is that you might qualify for. So we're going to go in the middle of the road, and we're going to say 9%. Okay, just to kind of, actually, you know, like I said, 10%. Let's go to 10%, and we're gonna keep the cash incentives. We're gonna keep the down payment, because again, that's going to be different for everybody, but that will change these numbers. The down payment is pretty much going to change the amount that you're financing for your car. So if you're buying a $50,000 car and you're putting $10,000 down, then you're financing $40,000. Just generally speaking. And you know, the trade-in value, we're going to leave it here at 0. We're going to leave the amount you owe on your trade-in at 0. Again, that's going to depend on your situation, but this tool will help you figure that out before even stepping into a dealership and haggling with a salesperson. You want to kind of know what your buying power is. And you know, I'm in the state of Florida, so I have it as Florida, and that's going to dictate the sales tax you see here, which is 8.5%. Now, the title, registration, and other fees are usually going to be around $3,000, but they have it here as $3,300. But that's going to be the actual paperwork and the actual writing of your documents and such that you're going to deal with, regardless of the dealership that you go with. Now, once you have all your numbers plugged in, you can go ahead and hit calculate, and it's going to spit you back out a number here. Now, the reason I'm showing you all this is because I feel like a lot of people kind of always are misconstrued when they say, you know, they're getting, oh, I'm getting an 8% rate, so if I'm borrowing $50,000, I'm only paying 8% of $50,000, which, you know, it is not necessarily the case. The interest rate is based on the term of the loan, and it's going to change based on the actual amount that you're financing and how long you're financing it for. So, you know, again, you can see right here, clear as day, we have $50,000, 72 months at 10%. All these numbers, you know, we have them as base, and then, you know, your sales tax, you have a payment of $926.27, which is what you're going to hear a lot of people saying, like, yeah, that's what I'm paying, that's what I'm paying. But the reason I'm showing you this tool is because you want to make a good decision. You want to make sure that you understand how much you're paying for that $50,000 car. Now, if you look right here, they had something that passed called the Truth in Lending Act, and anytime you sign any kind of financing paperwork, there should be a line clear as day in bold lettering that's going to tell you this is the amount of interest you are going to pay over the life of this loan. And if you look right here, you can see that the total price, when it's all said and done, that you're going to pay for this $50,000 car is going to be $74,242.68, meaning that you're going to be paying $16,692 in interest. Again, I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. This is just a tool that anybody can use. Your 2-year-old could use it if you really wanted to. But what you need to understand is that, you know, these numbers are just going to be specifically for this. You can change the parameters of all these numbers here and fit them to your situation. But what this tool here does is it gives you an idea of what your monthly payment is going to be. This is, remember, this is without car insurance. This doesn't include car insurance. This is just the financing of your vehicle. So whether you're getting a $25,000 car, a $20,000 car, a used, new, it doesn't matter. You can use this tool to fit your situation. And, you know, that's something that I'm hoping that you all can actually, you know, get a little bit of use out of and be able to, you know, save yourself a little bit of embarrassment, you know, because not everybody has perfect credit, and regardless of what your situation is, you want to have information available to you, and sometimes people just don't know where to start. Now, with that being said, the one thing that I want to kind of end this video on, and I want to talk about, is the fact that there are, you know, you can either buy a new car or you can buy a used car. But there's a caveat to that. When you're buying a used car, a lot of people neglect to think that, you know, there are cars out there that you can go. There's some lots that, again, the video I showed you first in the beginning, that's a guy that actually owns a used car dealership. You can go and get a you know, a $4,000 or a $5,000 car from him. He primarily has a lot where he only sells $5,000 cars. Now, with that being said, some of the used cars that you're going to see out there, you're going to see, you know, trucks being sold for with 150, 160, 180, insane amounts of mileage on them. And I say that to say this: those cars are still commanding $20, $30, $35,000, even with that insane mileage on it. And what you as a consumer, as a buyer, should be aware of is that with that, you have age, okay? And on these cars, this is where the mechanic's perspective is really gonna be able to help you guys, because I want you guys to make an informed decision. When you have a car that has that high of a mileage, every car, no matter the make, no matter the model, they're usually designed with something called a maintenance schedule. And what that means is that a certain amount of miles, there are certain components that will probably have worn out, and in order for that car to be you know, reliable, those things should probably be taken care of. And one of those things that, you know, I see a lot of people overlook and they don't really think about is the cooling system of your engine, which is the antifreeze and the thermostat and all the hoses and the water pump. That is one of the components on your engine that is not designed to last forever. Now, a well-maintained engine will run fine. It'll run for mile and mile and mile. You do your regular oil changes, you know, you take care, you know, you put fuel injector cleaner in your gas, and, you know, you're extra careful when it comes to the engine bay. You keep it clean, all that. It's good and dandy. But the cooling system on a lot of modern cars is not really designed to last for more than about, I'd say on a lucky person, 120, 130,000 miles. After that point, what happens is that you have degradation of the water pump, which is a component inside your engine that helps move the coolant around. And then you have a lot of the biggest issue that I find as a mechanic are these plastic fittings and plastic hoses and plastic radiators that over time they become very, very brittle. They break down, and these are usually where you're going to have the failure points. These are the kind of things that'll leave you stuck on the side of the road with your hood up and people passing by with, you know, the steam bellowing out of your hood, is because you're going to have something along that line in that system break. Now, this is where I would recommend a lot of you, if you are going to buy a used car, if you don't have a good mechanic friend, make one. Because you want to make sure you're getting a pre-inspection, a pre-purchase inspection. You don't want to get a post-inspection. You don't want to buy something and take it to a mechanic and then have them look at it for you and say you bought a piece of junk. You want to actually have a mechanic look it over and say, you know, these are the things that you should be concerned with, but these are the things you can live with. And there are some things that you can live with, if you're, depending on the vehicle, if your shocks are worn out, big deal. If you got scratch paint, big deal. You got a few chips in the window, big deal. But you have more major issues that you kind of want to be aware of, that are going to be not only safety issues, but they're probably going to be things that'll leave you stuck. If you have bad brakes, where that's a maintenance thing that you got to take care of after you buy that used car. That might be $200, $300, $400, $500 that you didn't expect that you'd have to spend right away. If you're buying a car with bad tires, again, that's going to be another $300, $400, $500, $600 that you didn't expect to spend right away. And if you have any issues, as far as the air conditioning is concerned, it might not be an issue right now in the colder season, but once it starts to heat up, you want to make sure you got that AC. And there's all kinds of different components and things that can go wrong on these cars. And that's the thing, is that a lot of these newer cars that they're building, they're very electronic driven, computerized monstrosities. You have so much computer and so much processing happening behind the scenes inside the car's internals, as far as the wiring and the components are concerned, that your head will spin when you see some of the cost of those repair bills. And I say that to say this, that there are automakers out there that build their cars, to a higher standard. And there are some automakers that just keep on making the same mistakes. And again, this is my mechanic experience speaking here. Should not be the amount of plastics used in the cooling system of cars that there is. And you have some of the manufacturers that are, shame on them, they put plastic everywhere, and these are primarily going to be Ford, Chevy, your Jeep, your Mopar vehicles, your Jeeps, your Dodge, your Chryslers. They're going to have plastic fittings around the cooling system that are just prone to failure. And it's one of those things that I change more than anything for people when they come to me. And the one thing that you want to do is you want to make sure that if you're getting a car, you kind of inspect, the engine bay and the area, and just kind of say, whoa, like I see a lot of these plastic T fittings and Y fittings. And I'm going to show you guys a couple clips here in a second that'll kind of give you an idea of what it is that I'm talking about. But these are components that will leave you stuck. And if you're not mechanically inclined, or you don't have a good mechanic, they could end up costing you big bucks. So it's just something you want to be aware of. And like I said, I promised you guys I'd show you a few clips, and here we go. Let's see. All right. Now. All right, this first video right here is going to show you a clear example of what it is that I'm talking about. This is a clip from a guy called Rain Man Repairs. He actually has a shop out here in Florida, and he does a lot of repairs on vehicles that, people bring him all kinds of cars, and he's just got to figure it out and fix it. And, this is an area which I see fail more often than not, is going to be these plastic fittings in the cooling system. But I'll let him show you, because it's pretty clear cut. You'll see exactly what he's talking about.
So here's our culprit right here. It appears to me that this hose itself has actually failed. This section, this little angle elbow business here, that's actually part of this upper radiator hose, and that's what kind of broke off right there. It's supposed to attach this plastic business Y fitting, and then that Y fitting attaches to our thermostat housing, and that's what attaches to our lower radiator hose. We can see it's running in right here. So there is that. We're gonna have to replace this hose. My guy wants to change out this guy right here too, because it's plastic. And I believe this is the part that I ordered from Doorman. That is the upgraded unit. That way we don't have to worry about this piece breaking the same as this piece. The theory behind it is
and like I said, I just wanted to show you a little bit of that, but that kind of shows you exactly what it is I'm talking about, where they put those plastic hoses. That particular vehicle he's showing you right there is a F-150, and it's it's on all kinds of vehicles. I mean, you could have a little 4-cylinder turbocharged, or a regular 4-cylinder without a turbo, or any number of engines. But the point is that there's plastic in those cooling systems that, you know, if you do end up having to change it, one thing you can do, again, I'm not sponsored by anybody, but Dorman usually has a product line they call Dorman Solutions. If you can get that particular part in an aluminum variant or in a metal variant, that's what the automakers used to use, but they don't really use them anymore because it point blank, it costs more. So, you know, with these vehicles becoming more expensive and then they're building them with cheaper components, it's a situation and a recipe for disaster. And, you know, so one thing you can do, again, if you do have your mechanic repair any kind of vehicle for you, be aware that there are components that they make to kind of fix these issues so you don't have them again in the future. And I don't want you all to believe that, you know, I'm just bringing you doom and gloom when it comes to buying used vehicles, because there can be reliable used vehicles out there. You can get a lot of use out. I mean, you can buy a car with 150, 160,000 miles and still get another 80, 90, 100,000 miles out of it. It's possible. It's very, very possible, but you need to be aware of that. And unfortunately, you know, some of these vehicles that you're buying are still commanding a high price. You know, when you're in the sedans and you're in the little four-door cars, it's not going to be as expensive. But if you're trying to get, you know, an SUV or a pickup truck, or, you know, anything of that nature, it's gonna be a little bit more expensive. And, you know, the more you know, the better prepared you can be. But one other clip I wanted to show you here is going to be, you know, just an idea of what you can run into. But here's another clip from another channel, and it's a guy talking about the fact that it's a 2019. It doesn't always have to be these, you know, old cars that have issues. Sometimes
why do shops charge for diag time when all you want them to do is just tell you what's wrong with your vehicle? Thankfully, this 2019 Ram stopped in to help me explain this to you.
Beautiful.
It's got an aftermarket intake on it. Here's what happens. It runs and drives great, no errors at all, but only for 33 miles. After 33 miles, the whole cluster lights up: service shifter, service ABS, see dealer, find a safe place to park. It won't even let you shut the truck off. You push the start stop button, nothing. And after about 10 minutes or so, it shuts itself off. You start it up and everything resets. You got 33 more miles. Let's see what she says. How many codes do you think it had? Whatever number you guessed, I'd be willing to bet that you were wrong. They're all stored. And that just means that there was an issue, but it's not there anymore. But it's actually just a bunch of lost communication codes. All of these modules that are losing communication have something in common. They're all on the same CAN-C communication network. Let's say your vehicle has 20 or 30 different modules, right? Your engine module, your transmission module, your drivetrain module, your suspension module, your module, your radio's a module. Everything's a module. All these different modules in your vehicle need to communicate with each other. Most vehicles now have numerous networks because there's so many different modules. Picture yourself in like a Zoom meeting with 50 different people. Really hard.
And again, that's just another clip to show you that these cars are they're very, very electronic oriented, and they're all computer driven, because where they used to have physical, you know, actuators and things to move around and do things, now they found a way. If there's a way for them to turn that into just a line of code in a computer, that's what they're going to do. And you have computers for everything now. You have computers for your vent control, you know, your AC controls. You have computers for your radio. You have computers that control your seat. You have computers that even control your rear view mirror. There's computers for everything in these modern cars. And that's going to be, again, this is a 2019 that he's talking about in this video. And it's, these are going to be expensive components, expensive parts to fix and change if it's something that you run into. And, you know, that's in a 2019. You're probably talking about, if you buy that truck used, it's still going to be costing you about 35, 40 grand for that truck. So something you might want to take into consideration. And the last clip here is, again, just to kind of give you guys an idea. A lot of these auto manufacturers design things in such a way that it is not easy for your everyday mechanic to be able to work on them. It is very difficult. And here's a good example of what it is. If your mechanic
quotes you X amount of dollars for a thermostat because it's in a crazy spot and you don't believe them, so instead you go ahead and you go
take a look at that picture.
Your car in for a new.
Look at all those things that he had to remove just to change a thermostat, because it's hidden all the way down in the engine bay. That's gonna give you a very high repair bill if you have to change those things. And look at all that shiny black plastic components you see in that picture right there. Things that are plastic that are worn out usually break when you're trying to remove them, and that can make your repair bill go through the roof. So just keep in mind, again, I want you guys to be informed, because I love all you sane folk, and I want you to make the decision that's actually going to be best for you. So keep that in mind, that, you know, when you're buying these used cars, you need to have an inspection done by a mechanic, and ask them questions. Be like, hey, if I needed you to change this thermostat, or if I needed you, I mean, a good mechanic should be able to answer these questions, but, you know, if I needed you to change the thermostat, or if I needed you to change the brake booster, or change the brake pads, like what kind of prices are we looking at as far as labor? And, you know, parts are going to be whatever, but labor is usually can be dictated by, again, a good mechanic. And it's just one of those things that, you know, when you're getting into a car that you're not familiar with, a lot of people forget to think about that, because, you know, when you're talking about, you just spent, you know, 30,000, 20,000, 15,000 for this used vehicle, and all of a sudden you got a $3,000 repair bill and a $4,000, $5,000 repair bill. You're gonna sit there and be like, oh my god, how am I gonna deal with this? But, you know, preparation is key, and actually being aware of these things and being, you know, prepared to have to take care of that is part of the equation when you're buying a used vehicle. With that, you know, not going to drone on too much more, but again, this video was primarily just to kind of bring some information to you guys, bring some clarity to things that you might have not understood, and give you a little bit more information when you go to purchase these cars, whether it be a new car, a used car, as 100,000 miles, 80,000 miles, it doesn't matter. You can actually make a decision that's going to work for your situation and work for you. And if you guys actually enjoyed this video, this informational video, please hit it with a like, share it around. There's going to be somebody out there that's going to be able to look at this and take the information that they're given and be able to make a decision for themselves, instead of you just sitting there trying to explain it to them and give them all of these different things that, you know, when you're just talking, you're just like, it's so much information. But sometimes in a digestible format like this, it might be more useful. If you can consider hitting that subscribe button and help me on my way to 9K, I would appreciate it very, very much, because like I said, I cannot grow without you, and I'm so very grateful for you all. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch the video, and until next time, stay informed. Everybody, please be safe and have a good night.